Hi Andrew. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'll just bring in this TrackMan data of just a couple of shots that you hit first of all. Um, so obviously you're using a 56-degree wedge, and we talked about the attack angle, and then I mentioned about the loft as well. So for using a 56-degree wedge to create the dynamic loft, which is the measurement of loft effectively as the club's hitting the ball of 37, it's just a little bit too low. So we talked about where the hands were, the dragging of the handle, if you like, and then obviously the attack angle as well, which you could argue for such a short shot is a little bit too steep. And then if we kind of go into the one of the better ones that you hit here, you can see how the attack angle's halved. You increase the dynamic loft. You may say, depending on what type of shot you want to hit, that you'd still want that a little bit higher with a 56 degree, but again the path and the face sit much better. Again, you just hit this one a little bit in the toe, but it's just a better position to sort of be in, and again, you've changed that pretty much through setup and just some basic fundamentals. So the TrackMan data is good. It's a bit more of a specific and a measured way of seeing that you're getting better through obviously achieving the better numbers and more consistently as well. So if you use the swing on the left hand side, so this is literally one of the first ones that you've done, you can see with your setup here, so just for literally just a short 30, probably not even 40 yard chip shot, quite open in the body, both the legs, the hips and the shoulders all pointing sort of significantly left of target. You can see the swing on the right here. This is one of the better ones. Just everything's just a lot more neutral. Posture other than that is pretty good. Wouldn't really change too much. So just from standing in sort of an undesirable position, you'll start to see how things in your body will change and do things differently to try and obviously create a reasonable shot. So the club sort of works back on the inside. Obviously the main thing that we talked about is just the length of swing. So for such a short shot, there's going to have to be some form of deceleration, or you certainly can't increase the speed from that position, or it's going to feel very, very uncomfortable. You can see the sort of loop that the club takes, so as it works back and is parallel to the ground, it works in, and then from that position then it's got to work back out. So you've got these two sort of varying planes that the club is working down on, and when you're talking about chipping, it's not really that desirable to do that. So it's just a clean up process, and keeping it as simple as possible. So for the same length of shot, instead of being up in the position that you're in here, you can see how the length just totally changes, and you can see how you still generate a nice amount of club head speed here, and you can see how the ball launches a little bit higher as well, because you're not dragging that handle. So the dynamic loft of the club would be much better on this one here. But really, understanding that this is the length here versus this is the length the clubs travel back here, I mean, those two are just so significantly different. And really, if you're trying to chip on the green side with this sort of swing and taking the club as far back as you have, it's just making such hard work of it, really. So we can make the lesson as technical as we want to be, but simply just shortening the swing, and then not really talking too much about planes of golf clubs. You can see here up and over, but if I go to the one on the right, there's no point going through it, because you're literally just straight back and straight through. That club works back and then back down on exactly the same plane line, if you like. So chances of the club face being much squarer, way better. Chances of the club face angle being much better, way better. So just relatively simple stuff. So we just look at it briefly from the front on position, and then we'll do the same with the better one. So again, you can see just in terms of set, a lot more neutral, parallel to the target line. Talked about at address, don't really want to feel the weight as far forward as it is on the left hand one here. Just going to make this a bit bigger. And you can do things. If I draw a line at 90 degrees, because you open that stance, it will give the apparency of everything sort of moving more to the left. The ball position will look a lot more further back in your stance. So when you're talking about trying to create a little bit of a shallower angle of attack, you're not trying to hit down and dig into that ball. It makes a lot more sense. Do the same again. It's much more through the sternum. Obviously this one's a little bit further back. And again, you look at the difference between these two amounts here, if you like, and it's visible, but that in terms of at the golf ball is monumental. It can make a huge difference to what you're doing. So as we go back here and you start to create that angle, and then you move that angle forward, and you can see at that point how much shaft lean there is there in relation to a sort of 90-degree angle. Unless you're really, really good at judging where the bottom of that arc is, you are going to get some shots that the leading edge is basically going to dig there. So if we go to the one on the right, the new improved one, the main thing is just the difference between this and this virtually work as one. There's no set of the wrists, so if there's no set of the wrist, you don't have to get it back out again through impact. So the dynamic loft of the club coming through is much more. So if you're trying to play those higher ones, it's much easier to do that. And I don't want to kind of go uber technical on you, but you can actually see the club almost launching, or the ball, sorry, launching a little bit higher than the one here. You can see there's virtually no release of the club through the ball, like we said on the grassed area. This is what you'll see, because you're effectively trying to hold that angle off. So all in all, some big differences. I think you got it. I think you definitely saw a difference with the the improvement in the ball flight, which is the main thing, but it's just keeping it simple. Like we said, it shouldn't be the hardest part of the game, the short game. So yeah, I'll post the link below to the TPI stuff that I said to go through. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, but any questions at all, just let me know.